it's Theresa with Crafty with Theresa. Thank you for joining me today. Today I have a quick and easy card video. The cards can take 5, 10, or even 20 minutes to make them. We'll let you decide. I will have several new Close to My Heart products in today's video. I really wanted to make some cards that I could put together in a set for myself, and I wanted to take this set over to the nursing home for them to make them. These new products will let them create very easy cards, but each one can have a different look. You'll see that here. That's my plan. So in today's video, you're going to see different ways to make these cards. I'll use some partial die cutting. I'll be using embossing folders. I'll be using stencils. You'll see some tips and tricks, some organization skills, and oh wait, there's more. How about an oh no card that looked like it was a lost cause, but we will revive it and magically fix it. So, enough of my chatting, let's get to crafting. First, let's take a look at some of the items I'll be using. I have just a few Distress Oxide inks. I have a few of my blending tools. And then, of course, you saw a sneak peek, but here's the embossing folder that I'll be using. This set comes with an embossing folder. It also has 2 stencils. Ignore all the tape. I'll explain a little bit of that later. I know it looks strange. But these wonderful butterflies are going to be used in all of the cards today, although we're going to change them up just a little bit. I have the large outline of the butterfly, and then I know these are hard to see, so I apologize. And then I have the detailed look of the butterflies. Here's a look at some of the inks that I'll be using today. I will add a few extras along the way, and you'll see those as we go through this video. This first card, I cut it exactly to the size of the stencil. On the second and third card, I made a better call and made it just a little bit bigger because it was harder to keep that still. So I tried a couple different ways. First, I taped each of the sides of the stencil to the card, but then that forced me to move that tape around a bit, and that's okay. It's just I feel like the second and third option was better. So this card was one that I put out in May, but I wanted to take a few minutes to show you just how simple and easy it is to make this card. So if you're in a hurry, these cards are great. I plan to take these over to the nursing home so that they can quickly put them together and learn a few techniques as they go through and make these cards. Now I'll grab just a piece of scratch paper. You might recognize that paper. I used it for my graduation card. But we'll go through and we're going to actually take that picked raspberry and just kind of go through that large stencil, go on the outside edges of it, because my plan is I want to blend a little bit on the inside to make it a two-tone butterfly. Here you'll see I had to peel back that tape. You'll see that I don't have to do that in the next 2 cards. But as I'm going through here, I'm basically making just a little outside edge. Then I'm going to grab the mustard seed coming up, and I'm going to show you, first I do the small butterflies. Then with that same ink, not re-inking, I'm going to go ahead and blend that within the larger butterflies. Hopefully this makes sense. Take a look. Now, because these are small items to stencil, I grabbed my little Daubers. For those beginners, You don't necessarily have to have both sets of these tools, but because I have them, I'm using them. So I'm going to grab the small dauber, take that mustard seed, and just kind of dab it where those small butterflies are. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going inside the larger butterflies, and I'm basically just adding in that ink that's already on the dauber. And then I'll kind of blend it a little bit to make it a two-tone butterfly. I actually love this technique. And you'll see I'm not doing all of the butterflies because my plan is to leave a little bit of an opening at the bottom of this card and use that for my sentiment. You will see a couple times these plans change along the way, and that's what crafters do. We improvise quite a bit. Again, you see I had to move the tape so I could go ahead and put those additional 3 butterflies in there. I think that's going to work out great. Now I'm going to grab this peeled paint green color, and I'm going to put it on the detailed stencil to give it a little bit of lines and a more detailed look inside the butterflies. Again, I'm using a dauber. It's very small openings. For me, that works best. And I'll just go through and put it on the butterflies I've decided to use that detailed look on. I don't use them all, but I'm just kind of spotlighting a few of them. Take a look. Now for card number 2, I cut out a base for my card that's larger than the stencil so that it was much easier for me to tape that down and keep that from shifting. So I'm going to go through the same process again, so I won't go through this in real time. I've sped it up for you because it's exactly the same process. The only difference is I changed the coloring of it. I'm now using the spiced marmalade for those small butterflies and using the spiced marmalade on the inside of them. But I just wanted to show you that this actually worked out better. This is card number 2. So we're going to do that, and this is the one that we're going to eventually do some partial die cutting on. But for now, let's just walk through this process real quick. The other change I made was I did grab my peacock feathers blue color as opposed to the peeled paint and put that on the inside of the butterflies instead. Next, I grabbed a few base colors. I believe one of these is Sundance and the other one, I'll have to look, and I'll post it in the description box. For the background pieces, those will be the ones that'll be right behind these base butterfly designs. Just thinking through them. Then I also wanted to show you this quick tip. I actually borrowed this from another fellow YouTuber and crafter, Jennifer McGuire. So I cannot take the credit, but I have found 2 useful ways to use these photo album books that I've bought, which I'm very happy that I'm able to get 2 uses out of them. Number 1, I'm setting up pages for those leftover sentiments that I create as I go along the way. You've seen those in previous videos. But when I need one, I just grab this photo book and put it onto a card. I love the way the sentiments stick, but it's not too sticky, and I can grab them quickly and add them to a card. At some point I will be adding tabs for each of the categories as I'm walking through them for now. I have an happy birthday section, thank you, love, thinking of you, sympathy, Mother's Day, Father's Day, autumn, fall, and Christmas. Those are what I have so far. Now for the second use of these photo sheets, I am still working on it, but you will see that in today's video or in an upcoming video where I actually use it as a sticky sheet. I did think of the idea of using it as a sticky sheet, and I think it's going to work out great. Haven't glued it down yet, but I plan to do that once I've had a few more chances to trial it. Now here's where that tape that you saw in the beginning of the video comes in handy. Well, I see that I got a little bit crooked here, so sorry about that. But the tape is another tip that I wanted to share, especially for those who are beginners. So I tape the actual embossing folder together, and then I mark on the outside edge the embossing side and the debossing side. For those that are new to card making, just a quick update on what that means. Embossing the card means it's got a raised image, and then debossing the card means that the image is inlaid within the design. Hope this makes sense. Take a look and you'll see that a little bit more clearly in the actual cards that I will show you here in the end. Now I had a couple of options on how to correct the card that actually had a couple smudges on it. I originally thought I would just splatter some of the spiced marmalade on this card. This was card number 2. I even thought about using one of the sentiments to just cover up the bottom of that card where I had a little bit of a hiccup. Well, then an idea came to me. Let's use a whole different design and make this look like it's a part of the card. So you'll see here I grabbed some circle dies. I believe these are Sizzix dies, and I'm creating a new design on that base page, and then I'm going to do another bit of what I call spotlight embossing. This will make sense in just a minute. Take a look. Now here's where I decided to add the Sundance cardstock behind that base where I've cut out the circles, and I'm just going to take the embossing folder and emboss the whole thing so that it looks like I had intentionally wanted that look around the circles. And so here you are. Take a look. I actually love this, and I think it's going to be perfect to put a small happy birthday sentiment right there in the middle. It wasn't necessarily needed, but I like the technique and I think it looks good. And then last but not least, as I start to finish up some of these cards, I will draw those antennas on there, and so that the butterflies look a little bit more complete. Now I know this video is getting very long, but I did want to show you the sympathy card that I created, again using the same ideas and thoughts here, so I've sped this up. But what I'm really trying to do here is I'm actually going to make this a little more on the vintage side, and I'm going to use up some of my die cuts that came out of another Close to My Heart kit. The one thing that Close to My Heart does very well is they coordinate things so that you have more than one use. The die cuts I'm going to be using are the butterflies that were in the Cosette kit, and they match this butterfly embossing and stencil bundle wonderfully. You'll see that here in the end. I'm making some vintage photo outlines. Again, the same process. I'll quickly go through it, but I'm going to actually add those butterflies onto the different ones that they fit well with, and you'll see that pretty sympathy card here at the end. So hopefully you stuck with me to the end. I'm going to show you a sneak peek of an upcoming video that will be coming out in the next week or so, using the June stamp of the month, and believe it or not, some sponges. Those sponges will be used for texture. I do hope that today's video gave you ideas and inspiration, and I do hope that it gave you some tips along the way. I would love it if you'd subscribe, hit that like button and notification button so you can see the new videos as they come out. Also, feel free to comment, give me some ideas on what you might like to see in the next video. Until next time, have a great day.